This episode of the COARSE GRIND Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hi, this is Stephen Reichland from Project Fire and Project Smoke, and you're listening to Sean Rossler on the COARSE GRIND Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after a long hiatus, a long time away. It feels like a long time. I guess it's not that long after 172. We're back once again with episode number 173 of the COARSE GRIND Podcast. With you as always this evening, host, creator, Sean Rossler. How the hell has everyone been, man? I'm hoping that 172 didn't throw everybody too far off. I just felt a need, and, it's my show, damn it, I'll do what I want. But I did feel a need to kind of go a little personal, professional, podcastinal realignment, if you will. And lucky all of you, you got to hear about it. Cool, whatever. You heard some very vague statements about a casting engagement gone wrong, but we're done. We're dumping that. We're over it. It's fine. But as promised, though, we're going to get back to the root of what really matters, the food, its story, and the multitude of storytellers with those very stories to tell. One figure, the Cuban, of course, Chef Carl Ruiz, has given us all a fair share of stories to enjoy, whether with Guy Fieri on the OP Radio podcast, or if you were lucky enough to catch his ear, from the man himself. This evening's guest is not only one of those people, but after doing my homework, I found out, honest to God, he's one of the most decent human beings this show may have ever seen, if I may. Tonight's guest is now a two-time Guys Grocery Games champion, but it wasn't always frosty tips and bragging rights. He got his start in the restaurant business at age 13 in the dish pit and quickly worked his way up in the New Hampshire food scene. By age 17, damn it, he had become sous in a local restaurant, and at the ever-unbelievable age of 21, was a head chef. No small feat, to be sure. He's created multiple locations in the New Hampshire scene that do nothing short of amaze, including Hop and Grind, Ruizing Grind, the Tuckaway Tavern, and the Grindhouse Meat Company. If typing made me this tired, I'm sure hearing it made you tired. I can only imagine how tired he is. But aside from those efforts and those achievements, he's shredding the slopes, digging on craft beer, love that, hanging with his family. Oh, and he's constantly in the childhood cancer fight. So truly, what's not to love about this dude? I'll drop the fanboy shit for a minute, and just say that it's people like this evening's guest who make it easy to believe there's still good in the world, to remind me of the purpose of this show. And, man, they can still have fun doing it despite being good. So let's bring them out, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Two-time Guys Grocery Games champion, the grind in Rise and Grind, Hop and Grind, the Tuckaway and Grindhouse, and all-around stand-up fellow Ruizer, Chef Bobby, the Butcher, Marcotte. What is going on, brother?
Wow, man, what an entrance. That's a lot to live up to. Thank you very much.
I'm looking for the cable where it drops down like Bruce Buffer has to grab it from the ceiling, and I have to get it engineered down here. I have drop ceiling, so I have a chance to do it a little bit, but we'll see what we can do.
I was trying to find like a theme song while you were talking, and you'd be like,
you got to bring in like the Gladiator soundtrack for that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But man,
jeez,
Bobby,
I gotta come strong on this.
You got to, man, and I have no doubt you will. Ladies and gentlemen, folks who are new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories, like yours truly, starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we're going to talk about where the guest in question is coming from. How did they get to where they're at in their game? Mains, we're going to talk about what they're doing. And afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one has been seriously or profoundly injured in 172 episodes, so I don't see it happening tonight, but who knows? So without further ado, Bobby, Chef Marcotte, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
See, now I've been doing my homework. I caught up on the show, and I've heard you ask that question. So this will be your first disappointment with me, is I do not have this, like, passionate love story of food growing up, unfortunately. My mom was a single mom with 3 of us rugrats on her hips, so, you know, she was always working hard, and we kind of just ate whatever was put in front of us, you know, basic meals, fried chicken, spaghetti and meatballs, lasagna. I mean, nothing fancy.
No.
I wasn't not one of those stories where I was at her hip watching her cook, you know, not that kind of thing, but just home cooked meals, man. Still the meals that I still go back to today, you know.
Yeah, but see that's the thing. So it's either like there's so many art scenes where it's kind of like, oh, there's an array of scores. With this, it's either 0 or 10. You either grew up around it nonstop or you grew up in it. Like me, go back. I'm not trying to plug my episode, Bob, but if you listen to my episode, like I grew up in Northeast PA, where like literally, Brussels sprouts were baptized, were actually exercised, which means you boiled the hell out of them. You know, everything was well done, if not more. And so, like, you kind of have to get out of the game. So it's either 0 or 10. So I feel you on that.
So I'm on the 0 scale.
You're on the 0 scale. I'm right there with you, man. Talk to me about...
No, but when my mom did cook, it was great. Don't get me wrong. I still, to this day, whenever anyone asks me, like, what's your number one meal, it's my mom's meatballs. Like, that's what I always go back to.
So mom's coming strong. So based on that, so there's where you do gravitate up a little bit. You're not 0. Mom can cook. What kind of an eater were you? I mean, obviously, you know, you're saying how it was kind of... I hate using the word pedestrian. I think it's such a dick word to use, but I get it. I understand it. I'm sure you do too. What kind of an eater were you as a kid?
Well, I wore husky jeans all growing up, if that gives you any hint of what kind of eater I was. I ate whatever was in front of me, man. Just anything and everything. I dabble in whatever was put in front of me as a kid, so. You
and I seriously need to hang out, because I remember that husky word and my mom trying to gently explain to me what that meant. And I'm like...
Yeah, that was her nice way of saying that I was chubby, you know?
Yeah, don't bullshit me, woman. I know what it means. I'm wearing them. I'm the one getting lapped in gym class. You don't need to explain it to me.
Exactly.
So
I ate more than I did. I ate more than I did sports. Put it that way.
There you go. Same. Absolutely. So, you know, you mentioned your mom's meatballs. I almost feel like a knee-jerk reaction, which is awesome, right? Are there other foods that you miss from your childhood that maybe you've tried to like do again and you can't, or just you've never had the likes of it since?
I mean, my mom's beef stew was one of them, and then anything baked, like any baked good, just goes straight to my grams. I don't even try to replicate anything anymore,
right?
Because she just crushed it out of the park every time. Cheesecake was like my grandma's thing. We got one of those for our birthday or special occasions, and that was the epitome of food.
That's awesome.
If I had a cheesecake in front of me, then I was good.
That's awesome, man. So I've heard mom, I've heard grandmom. Obviously, you are who you are. You've done what you've done. If you had to name your greatest culinary influence coming up, who would it be?
Oof, that's a tough one. You know, I'm gonna have to give that one to my dad, my stepdad.
For sure.
Who kind of dragged me into this restaurant business as a youngin'.
Yeah.
He bounced around restaurants his whole career and kind of brought me along for the ride. So I'd say he was my culinary influence. There were nights where we'd sit down and he always had a notebook with him, and he'd always have all these new menu ideas and different recipes, and always jotting in his notebooks. That's one thing I always took with me from him. So I would say my dad would be my culinary influence.
Right on. Now, so when you say you bounced around from restaurant to restaurant, was that his MO? He was chef, cook, or owner, or?
So that's where it kind of gets hairy, because he bounced around from restaurant to restaurant, but he was just never a chef because he bounced around from restaurant to restaurant. He was the guy that kind of had too many beers and was laid off before we knew it, you know.
Understood.
He was a great cook, but not he wasn't my leader mentor, put it that way.
Yeah,
but,
not someone who's going to make that 5A call for prep.
No, not at all.
Right.
But he definitely had some great ideas, and he could definitely throw down when we were in the kitchen. So.
That's awesome. So now you mentioned, the leadership vibe. Now, where did you pull that from? Let me actually take a step back real quick, and let me ask you first. Obviously, we know the end result of the story. We know Bobby Marcotte seeing you now, but there had to have been a jump from, hey, this looks like a good idea. Hey, I'm hanging out with my dad, to, hey, now I'm 17, I'm a sous chef. Hey, I'm 21, I'm an executive chef. How did those jumps happen?
I give all the credit of that to just becoming a dad, man.
Yes.
I just always strive to be better for my kids, and that's just what slapped me into shape, really. And I always was watching the guy. I've always had this mentality of just watching the guy in front of me and just trying to do it better. I can't say I've had a ton of great mentors, because I feel like, all my chefs, while I took something from all of them, I just always wanted to do it a little better. So I guess I guess that pressure and that drive just came from me wanting to lead by example for my kiddos. So
I love that. Jesus, man. I'm a dad of 3. I know we actually didn't wax parental before this, but yeah, man. You ever want to get whipped into shape and you're in it for the right reason, those kids are going to be the mirror of your mortality and so much more. So much more, for sure.
Exactly. And how can I how can I tell my kid to bust ass and be really good at something if I'm not doing it myself? So I just always wanted to lead by example as a father.
Yep.
I took the bull by the horns,
Exactly. And what a nun. I know we go on here a little bit about the Food Network mentality of culinary students, how, they just immediately fresh out of school think they're entitled to the show and to the millions and to all that. But what you said is really important, about just kind of keeping your eyes open and watching around. I actually just worked with a young individual. I'm just going to name your first name because I know you listen, Evan. I gave you some knife skill classes here in my kitchen, and I told you, so check this out, Bobby. You'll appreciate this. He's a 15-year-old kid working the dish station in an Italian restaurant, and he wanted to know how he could move beyond. And I told him, I said, you keep your head down, your ears open, and your eyes open, and you'll find out everything from the dish station. You see what comes back, you see what doesn't get eaten, you see what does get eaten, and you hear everything that goes on. That's the central point. And so to hear you say it, being who you are, just to keep your eyes open and watch the person in front of you. I mean, that's killer. That's the best. That's the best advice I've ever given anybody.
I love hearing that out of youth too. You know what I mean? Those are the kinds of kids that I keep my eyes out for. Is the ones that are hungry like that. So that's exactly the advice I'd be giving as well.
Yeah. So he came over on his downtime. He's not playing a video game, nothing like that. He came over to learn basic dice, mince, julienne, chiffonade techniques.
Wow.
From me. And I'm like, dude, you have a future in this shit. So anyway,
that's
Evan,
fantastic.
You're listening, buddy.
We need more Evans out this way too. So
you heard it here first. We need more. So that's awesome, man. So this whole thing comes full circle. Where was it that you first became executive chef, right? Or head chef? Sorry, head chef.
Yeah. So it was at this little mom and pop shop in Hampstead, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, I had my daughter super young, so I graduated high school 17. My daughter was born 2 weeks later, and I was working at this restaurant, and kind of just, like you were just saying, man, I kept my head down, always watching the guy next to me and just learning as much as I possibly could day in, day out.
Yeah.
And, I was 6 years into to that location. And oh no, I'm sorry. I was 4 years into that location when the head chef decided it was time for him to go, and I was just there waiting, man. I was ready for the opportunity. Went to the owners because they were scrambling. They didn't know who the heck was going to take over.
Yeah.
Like, I had my hand up. I was like ready to go. But the owners at the time were, they were older. They were kind of old school. They didn't believe in youth they didn't trust me because I didn't have much experience kind of thing. Yeah, so we said, how about this? So there was another older chef in the kitchen who didn't really want it necessarily, but because he had, years of experience under his belt, they trusted him a little more, I suppose. And we said, how about this? How about we team up and take it and see where it goes? And they agreed to that. And then 6 months later, they're like, oh, no, you got this. And just kind of let me take it and run with it. So I had to prove myself a little bit, but I pretty much told the guy next to me, his name was Steve, I said, man, you just sit back, just support me where you can and let me do this for the both of us. And I, just trust that I got this. And he did. He coached from the sidelines a little bit, gave me pointers here and there, but for the most part, just let me run with it.
Again, I am not railing against the culinary grads or anything like that. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm here to do. But listen, if you're in culinary school right now, and I know there's some folks listening in culinary school, I know there's some grads who've been on the show who, whatever. When you hear that, you have to realize how much life can actually mold you for the position versus just being given a spot, and I don't think it matters the industry. Like, this is not my full-time job. This is my fun-time job, podcasting, but it's taken me time and experience. There's no way I'm going to go and just take an online course for 2 weeks and be like, okay, now I'm a professional podcaster. You have to learn how to 100%. Read guests. You have to learn how to do all this stuff. The same thing holds true with this. So to hear the story of you, man, your daughter was born 17 and you become head chef at 21 and all driven by that magical element of parenthood. That's miraculous, dude. That warms my heart. Where not much does these days. I'm not gonna lie. Not a lot warms the heart these days, but that's a hell of a story. So
and it didn't stop there, man. I can't just say, it was just from experience because I do give, I didn't have the opportunity to go to culinary school.
Totally.
Looking back, I wish I, maybe got 2 years in just to hone my techniques and skills a little bit. Obviously, there's things that you learn in culinary school that, are kind of necessary. But on the same hand, I just feel like there's so much in a real world kitchen that doesn't get taught in culinary school. And I think it's important that, even just grabbing a part-time job while you're in school just to learn what you're really getting yourself into. Because it's not all, lining up 100 plates and doing it the same exact dish 100 times every day. You know what I mean? There's a lot more that goes into it, and just the improvisation that you can't really teach in school.
Yes. Completely, man. Just being able to function in the less than ideal circumstance, and it's truly one of the last bastions of the uncontrolled environment. Like, if you're going to run out of something, you better be able to think on your toes quick, or you're going to have a pissed off dining public that's never going to come back. Not only does it affect that night, but it affects nights down the road.
100%.
Sure. So.
And then, so I would leave, I'd leave work, and then I'd go home and try to get a couple chapters in on whatever book I might do. I was always self-educating as well. So amazing. Cookbook by my side, as well as some sort of a biography by a chef or some sort. Just learn. I've always been a bookworm as it is. So, when I really decided I was going to dig my heels in and take this as a career path, I just made sure I was constantly just in the background educating myself because, I didn't have that opportunity for school, so I had to get it somewhere,
And now, and now look at you. If we may fast forward into the mains, into the present, look at you, sir. 2-time, not just 1 time, 2-time Guys Grocery Games, which I've gone on record, and I will go on record again. I got Guy Fieri wrong years ago, and I've amended my opinion since, and I think he's one of the most beautiful culinary personas in the history of the arts. And he's doing amazing stuff out there with the wildfires. With Louis. Yeah.
You're not the only one. I feel like, I've always been I've always been a fan of it. I've watched him coming up on Next Food Network star, and I've just I just have always had a strong, positive opinion about Guy. And,
totally.
I feel like you weren't the only one. I feel like, anyone that has a loud personality like he does is obviously going to, catch a certain sort of negative attention, I'm sure. But I think he's turned so many, just through COVID specifically, I think.
Beyond,
I've just seen such a shift of respect for him because, while all these other chefs were closing up and shutting down everything, I mean, he's the one that rose up and said, F this. This is not going to knock me down. It's not going to knock my people down. I am going to do everything in my power to keep this train rolling. And it's only furthered my respect for the dude. And I think he's just garnered a ton more respect out of what he's done. And it's something that he's always done. But I'm so glad that he's catching the platform and the attention that he has in terms of respect,
Completely.
Said, it's not just the spiky tips and, it's not just that, it's so much more.
They are frosty as hell, though. I mean, full credit where credit is due. It's funny, too, because of this show. If you've read Kitchen Confidential, I imagine you have, obviously, Bookworm and all. There's a character, Grill Bitch. Real name in real life is Beth Aretsky, and because of the show, she's become a dear friend of mine. And it's so funny, we were hanging out by the pool drinking the one night, and we made the parallel of the way that Bourdain reacted to Emerald to the way I kind of reacted to Guy Fieri. And the remorse I felt when I realized, and Tony did the same thing. When Katrina happened, who was there? It was friggin' Emerald, because he was down there, and he took care of things. Well, same thing here. So, definitely credit where credit is due. And to be fair, a handful of others who've worked very close with Guy have been on the show, and they're like, you have no idea how wrong you are. I'm like, okay, fine. I can admit it. I'm married 20 years almost, so I can admit when I'm wrong, Bob.
You got to learn that real soon.
Oh,
you gotta
man.
learn that real quick.
Absolutely. So let's fast forward. Let's go into present day Bobby Marcotte, and let's talk about, first of all, not one, not two, not three, but 4 establishments, 3 of which centered on the concept of grind, which I'm not going to lie, I kind of love that, but that's because we're the Coarse Grind Podcast.
I know. When we started talking about the podcast and the name, I was like, obviously, with the name Grind in it, I got to be on there. Why wasn't I on episode 1,
I'm going to be whorishly sending you some merch very soon, sir.
I'll do the same.
But, so Hop and Grind, Ruizing Grind, Tuckaway, and the Grindhouse Butchery. Let's talk first. Tuckaway Tavern was the first. It was the first one. How did the Tuckaway happen?
So, I hung around at my, that initial concept where I was given the head chef position. I was there 12 years, man.
Wow.
And, I was just doing the best I could for my family. I really found my footing there. Rewind a little bit. Prior to getting into the name of that joint was Village Square Restaurant. Prior to going there, the 3 restaurants I had worked for prior to that had all shut down. So poor ownership.
Yeah.
One thing or another. They just all gradually shut down. I had never quit a job. The restaurants just all closed on me.
All right. So hold on just a second. I feel the need to call this out to people who've never worked in a restaurant or don't understand what turnover is in a restaurant. If you get 1 year out of a human being, you're doing well. 2 years, you're doing great. 12 years. 12 years you were there.
Yeah, man. So I had told my fiance at the time, I was like, listen, I'm going to give restaurants one more shot. And if this restaurant closes on me, I'm done. I'm walking away from restaurants in general because there's some sort of curse going on here. So prior to the Village, all 3 of those restaurants closed. So this was my last shot at restaurants, And sure enough, I did. I stayed there 12 years. And, you know, I used it as a real learning experience. And, it was my foundation for my family. I was able to buy my first house working there. And, you know, I really just found a comfort zone. And, hung out there for quite a while until 2012 when actually the building that we bought for Tuckaway was gorgeous. It was just like the mausoleum of butcher shops. It was just awesome when it first opened. And that was the first restaurant that really piqued my interest to kind of pull me away from what I was doing. So I did. I went and applied there when they first opened as a second job. I wasn't going to leave the village, but I wanted to just try something new and different and, get some secondary income going for my family and kind of take that next, step in life. And,
yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Kind of further myself a little bit. So
sure.
I did. I applied to be just a prep cook, get my foot in the door and kind of feel something new. And they told me I was asking for too much money at $14 an hour and just didn't hire me. So I was like, all right, it wasn't meant to be. Went back to the village and just did my thing for a couple more years. Well, they wound up going out of business. And I heard the building was up for sale. So as soon as I heard that, one of my sales guys was like, oh, I was just in there talking with the guy that scooped it up. I was like, I don't care what you do, but get my resume in front of that guy as soon as you possibly can.
Nice.
And, and he did. And, they called me the next day, had me come in and check the place out. I was their very first interview. I hung with them for probably a couple hours just talking, philosophy and what I would do with the building and what they were trying to do with it. And we just hit it off. And, sure enough, they asked me to become the opening chef for it. And I, as tough of a decision as it was to make a jump, I figured, it's been 12 years. It might be safe to try another new restaurant. Maybe it won't go out right away.
Yeah.
And, after some conversations with my wife and stuff, I decided, I was going to make the move, and I got to open Tuckaway.
That's awesome. So you open Tuckaway. How does the transition into now, let me see if I have the chronology right, because I might have the timeline wrong. I give myself full permission to fail. Again, I'm married 20 years. I own that.
Dude, I still screw up the timeline, so trust me. Look at me. I was trying to figure out my past a few minutes ago, so trust me, I'm there with it.
That's good. I can't remember my kids' names most days, so you're doing better than me. So Hop and Grind happens first, right?
Yep.
And then Rise and Grind, which is the more breakfast engineered place. And we're going to go back to these, folks. Relax, don't yell at me. We're going to talk about each. And then the Grindhouse Butchery happens last. That's the most recent iteration.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, so Grindhouse we kind of started toying with the concept of Grindhouse during the pandemic when we started seeing, labor shortages, supply shortages, those kinds of things. So Grindhouse kind of started as like a solution for some stores and some restaurants to kind of cut back on labor, but be able to offer some cool stuff. So
that was one of the big things that we noted. We had a couple 4-person panels, and Jose Rosenberg, who, God, what season Top Chef winner was he? I don't know. But he had Black Belly out in Colorado, but they shut their restaurants down, but they made it a mercantile almost, where you could go in, you could get your stuff to address that very same labor shortage, like you're saying.
Yeah, so So I was trying to just test the waters and see if there's a calling for just some retail options and, just kind of trying to fill a hole. And we picked up 13 accounts within a matter of weeks. So we found that it has legs, and we are currently in construction mode. So we are building a full USDA kitchen, commissary, butcher shop facing Grindhouse Meat Company, which is going to be focused on retail and wholesale for that gap. So that's kind of in the works.
That's amazing. And I have to go on record as saying, as a web development consultant myself, this guy's site, if you want to go out and check out some things that are going to make you feel very insecure about your website, go out to forkingoff.com, grindhousemeats.com. Go out. You're going to feel very, very sad about your website, and they're going to have to look out.
That's awesome that you say, man.
Oh my God, dude.
Get that.
It's crazy. It's honestly like this is something I do not for a full-time living, but as a side gig living. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, first of all, the punk influence speaks to me deeply. Second of all, the overall artisanship is amazing. The simplicity, the typeface. God, I don't want to turn this into a website podcast, but Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, this is amazing stuff. So go out, check it out, forkingoff.com. I'll drop some other site addresses before the end of the episode, but it's incredible.
Actually, I gotta give credit where credit's due on that. I just started working with this dude Dante Marino. Do you mind if I just
dude plug away, man. Dante Marino, check him out.
Yeah, Dante Marino. He's got a little agency called EA Creative out here in New Hampshire. We've always been in contact over the years, and once we started dipping with Ruizing and Grindhouse, I was like, man, we got to get someone to just manage all of this stuff. And I had a few conversations with him, and I felt really comfortable that he knew, what I was trying to do and got the vibe of everything we do. And I kind of let him run with it. And yeah, I'm glad you appreciate that as a professional, because I'm super stoked with what he did with it. I'm really, really happy with it.
It's really, first of all, it's unique. I actually, and people who do this, we're always running channels. And I just dropped your forkingoff.com maybe 5 minutes ago to a friend of mine, Christina Adkins from Delaware. Hi, Christina. Because I know she's kind of into that design look, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. That looks incredible." Where can I see more? But like the again, the artisanship, it's not even just the web design. The graphics are so strong. And again, that's all I'm going to say about the site. I want to get back. I want to talk about like Hop and Grind, Rise and Grind, and all this, but you have one of the most impressive web presences I've ever seen. Full stop.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, full stop.
That means a lot. And I got to give one more shout out on the artisanship is this dude called Falk Art. Falk Art, dude from Germany that I've met just on the internet. I came across a picture of a cow. So he did this like gangster picture of like a cow, a pig, a turkey, a chicken, and a lobster all sitting at this table smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. And I'm like, that is literally everything about like what I love. So I reached out to him I'm like, dude, I love your art. Do you mind if I steal this for a tattoo? And he reached back out, and he was like thrilled that I enjoyed it. He said he's been drawing these animals since he was like 12 years old, has never gotten any sort of like, such positive reaction by it. So me and him have hit it off ever since, and he's just become like such an integral part to all of our brands. I can reach out to him anytime and be like, hey, I need a cow, like, rapping. Can you do that? And he just hits me up with a picture, like, next day. So it's really, really cool.
Artists like that are honestly infuriating. I always say to my wife, if we're in, like, an amazing restaurant and I taste something, she's like, how is it? I'm like, it has me pissed off. And she knows it's good then, because I can't do it. I know I can't do it. And that's the same way I feel about, like, some kind of art ventures. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you make an art? I'll text you later. Spoiler alert, kids, but you're not going to see it yet. We have a new Next 100 episode logo, and I'll have to share it with you because I think you'll appreciate the art for it. But I have this guy who has done most of my tattoos, and I just mentioned to him, I'm like, hey, you think you could do a logo for the podcast for the next 100? He's like, yeah, dude, no problem. Give me like a night. And literally in the morning, I open it up. I'm like, this is a masterpiece. This is better than The Last Supper. Like, I don't care about The Last Supper. That's amazing. People like that.
That's how this guy is. He's so cool to work with.
So obnoxious.
We'll bounce ideas off each other. And it's just really cool to have.
Oh my God, I need to stop looking at your site. It literally is everything I love. Okay, moving on. So we've talked about Tuckaway. Let's talk about Hop and Grind and Rise and Grind. Let's do them both together. Hop and Grind is, in 30 words or less, what?
Hop and Grind is a game-changing burger joint focused on really just recreating what a burger joint is while also pouring ridiculously good beer.
Okay, so I love the ridiculously good beer. What is it that this burger joint does that no others do?
So I knew like grilling beef patties and putting a bunch of stuff on top is kind of been done at every burger joint, in America.
Sure.
And I felt like, when me and, so there's two partners at Tuckaway. One is just kind of a silent guy, and he lets me and the other partner, Paul, run with things.
Okay.
So after I got that up and running for them for a few years, we've been crushing it. Everyone was asking, when's the next, what's next? What are you guys opening? And I just always had this vision that we would do like these offshoots that kind of brought in the Tuckaway butchery feel while also recreating, a burger joint.
Love it.
So rather than just grilling beef patties and putting a bunch of stuff on top like everybody else, I was like, how are we going to really separate ourselves? How are we going to make ourselves different? And through years of just creating all these funky sausages, I was like, why aren't we putting ingredients like chicken parmesan into a burger patty?
Love it. Oh my God, I love it.
And that's where we kind of just took that concept and ran with it. Because we do like all these, funky sausages at Tuckaway, for instance, the chicken parm, chicken broccoli Alfredo, Three Pigs, which is a barbecue pulled pork sausage. So, we've just always done these funky sausages. I was like, why can't we take this idea and turn it into burger patties? So that's kind of what we did. And, of course we have your smash burger with, whatever you want on top, which is great. And I use really good beef and we grind it fresh. And so we do that really well as well. But on the other hand, I wanted to have something different that you can't get everywhere else. So, we created this whole chicken section where we have 4 specialty chicken burgers that are all their own burger patty with toppings to suit, so it's not just a one tone burger joint. And then we created all these pork patties. So,
that right there speaks to me. Because I feel like for as many burgers as there's been, it's either beef or chicken, or maybe turkey. Pork gets the shaft, and I love a good composed. I did a kimchi, gochujang, and pork burger. It's got to be a couple months ago. It's been a while. But it was one of the most succulent things because pork just brings such a unique element to the table, and yet you don't see pork burgers at all.
Bro, you literally just described my Karate Pig burger.
Oh my God.
Burger we just did that, we did that with Guy during COVID on the Triple D takeout.
Oh!
Where I shipped him so I do an Asian dumpling patty.
Yeah.
So it's ground pork with minced ginger, scallions, garlic, a little bit of soy sauce.
Any lemongrass in there?
I didn't actually. But, we mold that into a patty, we sous vide it, and then, when we go into production, we sear it off on the flat top. That one we get topped to the house-made kimchi, crispy fried wontons. I don't, instead of gochujang, we do this, what we call our dojo sauce, but it would be almost like a spicy aioli and then a sweet soy glaze and some fresh cilantro on top. So that's one example of one burger we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the difference between the amateurs, that's me, and the pros, them. So that's
not to one up you or anything, but as
no.
I'm like, dude, that's literally one of our burgers. So
it doesn't take much to one up me. Let's just be honest there. Have you seen me? Holy shit, man. So I have to ask, with all these oars in the water, let me ask you one of the more standard questions. How do you keep a fresh man? Where do you draw your culinary inspiration to keep everything moving in the right direction?
It's a great question. And it's honestly, I wish I had a catch-all answer for it, because that's what everyone asks is where do you come up with this stuff? And it just I feel like the best way to describe it is an author when they get an idea for a story, or it just kind of hits you out of nowhere. And, I'll be driving home late at night and, maybe maybe with a buzz, maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes that happens, when you're driving home from work.
Of course.
But it literally just hits me. I'll get an idea for something, or I'll be thinking about, chicken parm, and I'm like, well, what can I do different to chicken parm? And then, well, I'll make it into a burger. I don't know. I wish there was some way that I could describe how I get it, but it's just constantly picking through my Rolodex in my brain of like, what's next? What can I mess with next?
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, if you keep it moving, yeah, and, obviously you're moving day to day, today, eventually something's going to catch, something's going to hook, and you're going to be like, oh, hey, you know what I was thinking of the other day? And off you go. So,
yep. And honestly, I would say I get in funks, like, I get writer's block sometimes where I feel, I get these, like, I've been trying to rework Tuckaway's menu recently, and the last couple months I'm just like, I don't put out a menu unless I'm like 1,000% in on it. And like, I feel like this menu now, I've been stuck at 95% for over a month, and everyone keeps asking me, when's the menu coming out? It's like, when it's ready. That's my only answer. I don't rush it. I only do it when it feels right, and I'll just keep playing with stuff until I feel I'm there,
It's so funny. Like, all right, first of all, you and I have to hang out in real life, because, like, I literally just did a 15-minute monologue, basically, the episode before this, saying, like, hey, look, I know I haven't been on air for a month, but at the same time, I really don't give a shit, because I didn't feel like being on air. Yeah, like
that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, like, exactly. And you have to be okay with saying that, because it's like people expect this out of you. I'm not saying like there's masses beating down my door. I have like 2 listeners tops. I'm kidding. I love you all. But like, you have to take that time for yourself, and like, this has been harder on all of us than I think anybody is intelligent enough to realize. And so it's like, take your time. Take your time, man.
And that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. I on one hand, I like try to reason with myself, like, maybe it's just like everything going on. I spend a lot of time with HR now, you know what I mean? Like,
sure. Yeah.
Making sure everyone's good with what they've got going on. And like, but on the other hand, I'm like, no excuses. Get that shit rolling, Bobby. Like, what are you waiting for? You know what I mean? So it's like, I got one voice on one shoulder. I feel like the old Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, that's right. The angel and the devil.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like, one's telling me, take it easy, and the other one's like, get that freaking thing out,
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, man. But
I think that's a good balance to have for ourselves, I think you gotta have balance.
Would agree.
With everything.
Yeah, would agree for sure. So Hop and Grind, speaking of inspiration, gives rise to, see what I did there? I didn't even mean to do that. Gives rise to Ruizing Grind. Yeah, I'm a professional, man, trust me. Ruizing Grind is the breakfast variant of the Grind line, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So again, in the 30 words or less, talk to me about Ruizing Grind.
So Ruizing Grind came to be over the course of the pandemic. We actually had another end cap in the building that our first Hop and Grind location was. This is way more than 30 words already. I apologize.
That's fine. Go with it. Go nuts. I can't count anyway. I was an English teacher, not a math teacher.
But no, so our first Hop and Grind is on UNH campus. So we are on one end cap, and on the other end cap was this little coffee shop that was based out of Pennsylvania. And, it was one of the casualties of the pandemic. So as soon as that space popped up, I just got to talking to my landlord and just asked them what their plan was. And they said, well, we don't really have much plans for it. We're going to turn it into a resident lounge, but if you were interested in doing something with it, we would absolutely entertain it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, we are in the middle of a pandemic, but at the same time, I hate to see that space go to waste. So what do you think of like a 1-year trial? Let's see how it goes. And they were very open to it. So, to answer your question, we turned it into like this funky coffee bar, in the literal form where I am pouring all of the coffee on draft. There's no brewing going on in-house.
Yeah.
We were working with a bunch of local roasters who keg their coffee. and we pour hot and cold on tap. And then taking the idea of like infused burgers, we take that and infuse it into our cream cheeses and do bagels and cream cheese, and then funky fresh ground sausages and homemade Spam and egg sandwiches, and, you know, just carrying on with being funky and fresh.
Yeah.
And unique.
So let me react on air. It's riseandgrindh.com, the letter H after grind.com. When I first saw this earlier today, I clearly pushed this out of my mind because, again, you know, I've got a full 9 to 5. I've got 3 kids, you know, evening shit happens, and whatever. I'm looking back at these pictures right now, and first of all, the taps. The taps are amazing. I love some coffee. I love some ethically sourced coffee. Mocha Origins was on not too long ago. They're out of my hometown, Honesdale. They're doing the same thing. They're going down. They're actually doing the work. They're helping people live off a livable wage, which is awesome. But to look at these pictures right here and to see those taps and those wonderful, beautiful bags of coffee look amazing. Let me scroll down a little bit to the sandwiches, to the donuts. What are you doing? Are you trying to kill everybody or just like awful people like myself who can't control themselves in a dining situation?
Yeah, I would recommend that you eat anything I do in moderation. I'm definitely not your health food store.
No!
I definitely am eating. I eat and cook everything I ever wanted as a kid. Going back to that 0 scale, I've turned it up to a 12
yes.
now that I'm an adult. So
yeah, adult. Let's all do air quotes there when we say adult.
I'm making up for everything I longed for back as a teenager. Now I just make it for myself on the daily. So.
That looks exquisite, man. And if you look at the center picture, that ridiculous monstrosity of a sandwich, you see the Ruizing bracelet, like, just off-center. So awesome. The smash burgers on the right, which don't look like normal smash burgers. I think, is that, like, sausage mix?
Yeah, we do smashed sausages at Ruizing Grind. So it's actually half ground beef with a full 50% of ground bacon as well, with some maple syrup and some fresh sage.
I'm leaving. Finish the interview on your own. I'm going. Bye.
I'll talk about this while you drive here.
That's my God. Oh my God. And then the donut, when the donuts are an afterthought and I look at it and go, well, at least that has apple in it, that's where the problem starts.
Now that's Ruizing, right?
Yeah, that is Ruizing.
I think you'd be proud.
So. Yes. So, goddamn. So we covered them all. I gotta ask you, Bobby, career-wise, what's next? You got 4 oars in the water. You have this awesome family, awesome support, awesome everything, it seems. Talk to me about your 5-year plan, let's say. What's next for you?
Wow. So, Hop and Grind, I would say it was made to scale. But what I tell my staff there and, my managers is I'm only going to grow this as long as you guys want to grow it and as big as you guys want to grow it. So Hop and Grind is kind of just waiting for, my managers to tell me we're ready for another location. So I feel like that can go as far as we want it to go. Grindhouse Meat Company should be opening next year, where we'll really dig our heels in with like wholesale retail distribution. And then from that point, I really don't have any set plans. I have tons of concepts in my head. I've got some on paper, some in my head, but we've never rushed to do anything. We've kind of just always let it organically happen, whether it be stumbling on a property or, someone telling us, hey, you got to check this out. Or, like I said, if my staff says we're bored, let's do something new. I think that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be like a forced, we have to open a location every year. Like
No, totally.
I don't, that's not my style. It's, I feel it probably doesn't succeed that way. So
I don't think, based on your model alone, if I'm buying a lottery ticket, I'm going to be like, Bobby, take this money, go buy a lottery ticket for me. Like, because seriously, everything has fallen into beautiful place for you, and, you know, whatever comes of it, I mean, you're doing it, and you're doing it so well, and I want to kind of, on the tail end of, like, where you're at, mention, I've been a bit remiss in not mentioning the work you do with not only St. Jude, but with Chef Ian. Like, that's such a cool thing. I don't want to go super deep because, again, I want to wrap with you. I've had you on the phone for a ridiculous amount of time, but I gotta ask you, let me start with St. Jude. Why childhood cancer? Why such an important, that's a dumb question to ask, Sean. Yes, we understand, but like, why?
So I just actually, I've never really, told my story, but I was born with cancer. I was a childhood cancer survivor. I lost my left eye to retinoblastoma, which is cancer of the eyes. So knowing that, I knew my first daughter was at risk. And sure enough, she got the hereditary form of retinoblastoma.
Sure.
So she fought that for several years. We beat it. But as she grew older, she got a secondary form of cancer, which is osteosarcoma, which is cancer of the bones, which ultimately took her life after several years of battling that as well. So it's just me continuing on her legacy and just continuing to fight for all the families that went through the hell that we did. And it's just so important to me that we continue to give back, as we were given so much during her fight. And she always wanted to give so much during her fight. She was the kid that was in the hospital bed worried about the kid in the hospital bed next to her. You know what I mean? So I just think it's only right that we continue that mentality and that legacy in her honor. So Team Peace Love Alana has grown into something way more than I ever thought it would be. We're over $500,000 raised since she passed, and we're just still going strong, man. So St. Jude's is our go-to because they do so much for families. They never ask for a dime, for travel, for anything. So it's important that they have donors like us to keep that ball rolling. Understood. And I mean, again, obviously from the bottom of my heart, I am so sorry to hear that. But at the same time, she had a hell of an example, I think, to lean on, man. And good on you for just doing what you do, man. I think it's incredible. And it's hard parent to parent to, even mention that, and I didn't want to leave this. I don't want to leave it heavy. I really don't. Folks listening, every once in a while I dip in the heavy end of the pool. This is one of the times I'm going to, because this is such an important mission. And St. Jude's, for as, critical, I should say, as we are of charities, St. Jude's is always one that gets the upvote from us. So I'm going to ask everyone listening tonight, please, the next time you get that envelope with those cute little return address stickers, which we all love, I know, make sure that you put a check in there. Let's go, because it is truly one of the best. And, again, Bobby, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for the work you do. My heart goes out to you for what you went through. So, thank you, man. And, that's all, it's not as heavy as it is. It's also a beautiful thing. The lives we've touched with it, and, it really raises a ton of awareness, and it brings out so much good in so many people. And it's really become as heavy as it is, it's become a real light in my life, and it continues to inspire me. So,
totally.
I would say it's still a great thing,
Well, it's Peace Love Alana, one word. Peace, for my listeners who might not be that bright, PEACE, love, LOVE, ALANNA, Peace Love Alana. And you can go out to forkandoff.com and check it out. Make sure to click on the Peace Love Alana link, and it's going to take you right out to St. Jude's site. So let me switch gears a little bit. Talk to me about Chef Ian. He seems amazing.
He is amazing. So, that's an organization, Best Buddies, that I never had heard about until I met Guy, honestly.
Nice.
He was up, we filmed Triple D on a Friday, and we got done filming the show and just got to shooting the shit after, and he said, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Whatever you want me to do, chef."
Yeah, exactly
what
right.
the hell am I going to say? Oh, I'm kind of busy, you know? No. So I was like, I think my schedule's clear. You know, it's going into a Saturday at a busy-ass restaurant. I'm like, I think I could do something. But he invited me down. He was actually doing his Best Buddies charity event. Food. They do a bunch of food, and they gear up for the bike. They do like a huge bike ride the following day. So he invited me down as his guest and kind of introduced me to the organization, and I just loved everything about it. It's basically, you know, once these kids are out of school, you know, it's making sure that they still have friendships, you know, because you kind of lose that social aspect once you're out of the school realm. So, you know, I just love the concept of it. I think it's super important, and I went back after that event and kind of researched what was going on here in New Hampshire. I found that they were kind of just starting to get their legs under them up here with the organization, and I jumped right on board and met Ian in the making. So it was cool.
I
Really
love
cool.
everything about that. Love everything about that. I don't oftentimes go personal on air. My youngest is special needs. He has autism. And so, you know, anything like this speaks directly to me. So,
100%, man.
Again, folks, this is going to be a link-heavy episode when it drops, because we got bestbuddieschampion.org. We've got St. Jude's. We're going to have a lot. So make sure that you look in the episode description. There's going to be tons of links. Maybe I'll just do them as individual comments. I'll see how it lays best. But again, super important work. And again, Guy Fieri, I'm sorry. There you go. I said it. I'm the bigger person for it. I have had you on the phone forever. Let me shift real quick into afters. Couple more questions, Chef, and I will leave you be. A little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff. No one has been seriously injured in 172, so I don't see it happening here. But let's see. Who knows? I'm standing in your kitchen. You and I are cooking, and you have DJ control. What music are we listening to?
Oh, damn. That shifts by the day. You're probably going to hear... All right, I'll give you like 3 examples of songs. Right now, you'd probably hear Marshmello of some sort.
Love Mellow. Yep.
Go straight into probably Nirvana,
Nice.
and then maybe some System of a Down Screamo by the end. I mean, my music playlists are all over the place, and it just works. Honestly, my staff compliments my playlists all the time, because you don't just get one mood, and it kind of shifts with the course of the night too. You know,
you get all of them. You get all the moods.
So it's
That's awesome.
It's such a roller coaster, just like the line is during.
But that's
during
it. Yeah,
shift, so
I mean,
it kind of goes with it. You know,
you're never in the weeds for the whole shift, and you're never in the good for the whole shift. It's up and down.
Exactly. So you can't just have one genre of music. You gotta shift your emotions with the pace.
I feel you completely. All right, ready? Hypothetical situation. Here we go. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only take 3 foods or food type items with you. They can be condiments. They can be pieces of equipment. Inexhaustible supply through the power of imagination, but only 3. What would they be and why?
Oh, damn. Well, I mean, it's only right that I say cleaver. Is there wildlife on this island? I mean,
yes.
Or do I need to bring my own in? Oh, there is. All right, then yes, I definitely bring in a cleaver.
Cool.
Oh, man. Only 3, huh?
Yeah, only 3, man.
All right.
I love the fact that
cleaver.
Cleaver is the first thing you named, Bobby the Butcher. I think the whole thing about hanging out in person, I might be a little guarded at this point. I'm like, God, that's his first answer? Shit, I'm going to be missing fingers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go cleaver, a frying pan, because you need something to cook in, and some dry pasta. The rest I can handle.
God, listen to the survivalist over here. He's like Bear Grylls and shit. All right, so I got to ask you, the inspiration for the show 7+ years ago, was Melanie Denea's My Last Supper. It was a coffee table book, big book. Maybe you've heard of it. Most people haven't, which is mind-blowing to me. She's an amazing photographer. Took pictures of 50 world-class chefs. The Tony Bourdain beef femur between the legs naked, that's her. She did that. So, and she asked everybody the same 5 questions, and they all centered around, your ticket's getting punched tomorrow. What's your last meal? What's your last drink? Who's there? And why? So I ask you, Chef Bobby Marcotte, what's your last supper?
I'm going right back to our first conversation. It's my mom's spaghetti meatballs.
Uh-huh.
No doubt. I'm drinking Whistle Pig.
Nice. Carl would approve.
And I just want my wife, my kids there with me. I'm keeping it super simple. Just a total home night would be my last ticket.
That's it. That's all it needs to be. And if that was not emotional enough, the last question, the most simple, the most basic, and yet the most complex. What is food to you in one word, and why?
Food is life.
Love it.
In so many ways. It's obviously sustenance for us, but it's come to provide for me and my family. It's everything for us. So it's what I base my whole life around, man. Yeah,
don't complicate it. For Chef Bobby Marcotte, food is life, and that makes total sense. Man, you are an absolute champion. This has been truly, and I mean this, 7 years in, one of the most enjoyable, satisfying episodes. I think just from a humanistic element, you are truly one of the best humans I've ever had on this show, and I mean that.
Oh my God! I mean
that from the bottom of my soul. So before we wrap completely, let me just read off the links and the plugs. Here we go, kids. Buckle in. It's going to be a little bit of a long list. So if you want to check out the work that Chef Bobby is doing with St. Jude's, be sure to go out to his site. Check out the donate link under Peace, Love, Alana. That's going to take you out to St. Jude's, where you can make a donation. Make it a big one. Otherwise, I'll come to your house and cook you raw chicken and make you eat it.
You don't have to cook raw chicken, actually.
I know. I realized I just said I cook raw chicken. I'm like, you don't have to do that.
Sorry.
In addition to that, the work that he's doing with Best Buddies with Chef Ian, be sure to check that out as well. I believe that's still on the forkandoff.com, just basically home site. There's a donate today and a meet Chef Ian if you want to learn more about him. His awesomeness. He's wearing camo. I'm wearing camo. I love that. That's going to pop you out to the bestbuddieschampion.org site. Be sure to check that out as well. With regards to Chef Bobby's multiple oars in the water, let's start at the top and go Tuckaway Tavern, which is out on his site, which that's the one site. Oh, no, I do have it here. Hang on. Ruizing Grind. Tuckaway is going to be located at thetuckaway.com. Be sure to check that out. Hop and Grind is going to be located at, that's Ruizing Grind. Hopandgrind.com. Ruizing Grind was the interesting one, which is ruizinggrindh.com. And finally,
NH.com. Sorry to interrupt. NH.com.
Oh, NH.com. I'm sorry. Oh, that's on me then. I said H.com before. It's NH for New Hampshire. Go figure. You would think I would know my state abbreviations. It would be amazing. And then finally, the Grindhouse Meat Company is at grindhousemeats.com. All of them are out on the Book of Face, on the Twitter, on the Insta. Be sure to go out and check them out. And again, Chef Bobby Marcotte is also out there. Be sure to reach out. Check him out. The work he's doing is not only culinarily amazing, but from a humanitarian aspect, truly one of the most rewarding interviews I've had in a long time. So, Chef Bobby, thank you so much, brother.
No, thank you, man. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the kind words. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 173 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening, the saintly, yes, saintly, Chef Bobby Marcotte. Our producer, as always, has been Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his libertarian happenings in Wayne County, the 570. Next episode will be number 174. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.